Many guitar players believe that in order to achieve an outside sound with their lead playing, outside meaning something that sounds like it doesn't belong to the key, they believe that they have to learn a bunch of advanced, exotic sounding scales like diminished scales, the whole tone scale, melodic minor. And whilst it is certainly true that you can use these types of scales to achieve an outside sound with your lead playing, you can actually get similar results from simply messing around with scales that you probably already know. More commonly used scales like Mixolydian or Dorian or the pentatonic scales. I was watching an interview with a guitar player called Sean Tubbs recently, who, if you don't know, Sean is an incredible session guitar player based out in Nashville. And alongside session work, he also runs his own YouTube channel, which is mostly based on gear demos. But a few people on my channel have commented quite recently asking me to talk about some of the outside lines that Sean so often plays in his gear demos. So I decided to look into it, and I was actually surprised to hear Sean say that he doesn't really think about the kind of exotic scales that I was mentioning earlier. His thinking is that regardless of the scale that you're playing, whether it's an advanced exotic sounding one or a more basic one like the minor pentatonic scale or Mixolydian, regardless of which scale you're playing, if you hit a wrong note, you're only ever a semitone away from the right note. So he seems to prefer adding in wrong notes to scales like Mixolydian and the blues scale as a way of sort of dancing around and leading up to the right notes in those scales. If you're not familiar with the concept of outside playing, you might be wondering, well, why would I want to play the wrong notes if I know where all the right ones are? Well, adding in notes that don't sound right is a great way of adding tension to your solos. It's just something that you can do to keep things interesting for yourself and the listener. And if you throw it in occasionally, not every few bars, but just maybe even once in a solo, throw in a line that has a few notes that don't quite fit in that particular scale that you're using, it can have a big impact on the listener because, it gets their attention essentially. One thing you can do with any scale that is super easy for achieving an outside sound is just to take certain notes of a particular scale and shift them up or down a semitone. For example, in this lick that I'm about to show you, I'm going to take two notes from position 2 of the C minor pentatonic scale and shift them up by a semitone, which takes them out of the key, makes them wrong notes, and adds tension to the lick. Here you can see position 2 of the minor pentatonic scale in C. And what I've done in this lick is I have taken the notes on the B and high E strings and shifted them up by a semitone before moving up to position 3 of the scale. Before we move on to another lick, let's just talk about gear for a quick second. I am using my Fender Custom Shop Strat, running it into a Sur Eclipse Distortion, which I'm actually stacking with the JHS Bonsai, which if you don't know is a Tube Screamer style pedal. I'm using a Walrus Audio ARP 87 delay, and all of those pedals are running into the front end of the Moore Audio Preamp Live on the Blueno Clean preset, which is all being recorded direct via the XLR output into my Universal Audio Apollo Twin interface. So the scales involved in this are C Mixolydian, that's what I'm adding in the wrong notes to, and then it sort of finishes with a run in the C blues scale. The blues scale and Mixolydian always work well together, so here is the lick. Here's the position of C Mixolydian that we're working with. If you don't yet know the Mixolydian mode all over the fretboard, I highly recommend that you first work on mastering that before you start to try adding in outside notes to that scale. Because if you're unsure of where all the right notes are and you're maybe not even that familiar with the sound of the mode itself, you're going to have a tough time trying to create outside lines using this scale. If you want to learn about Mixolydian, the theory behind it, how to visualize it on the fretboard, and improvise with it in any key, check the link in the description below for part 2 of my online guitar course, Bulletproof Guitar Player Advanced Concepts. The link in the description gets you 50% off. So all of the notes here are in the scale. I'm now going to play through each little part of that lick to show you guys where I'm adding in the wrong notes. So I start here at fret 11 on the B string, which is the flat 7th found in Mixolydian. Then I add in a wrong note and slide down to the root note. So I'm going 9-8 on the high E. So this note at fret 9 does not exist in Mixolydian, but I'm using it to slide down to a note that does, which is C, which is the root note in this scale. Then we have another right note, this one being the major 6th found in Mixolydian, followed by fret 7, which is a wrong note. It's just a semitone lower than the root note, so that does not exist within Mixolydian. Then we go 9 to 10 on the B string, again starting with another wrong note. Fret 9 on the B string does not exist within C Mixolydian, but we slide up, we use it to slide up to a note that does exist within Mixolydian, which is the major 6th at fret 10. So that's the first bit. Then we go 7 to 8 on the B string. Now fret 8 on the B string, that does exist within C Mixolydian, and fret 7 does not, but you could also view that as flat 5 of the C blues scale. So you can choose to view that as a wrong note if you want to, but really it does exist within the C blues scale. So, and those two scales, blues and Mixolydian, work well together. Then we go 10 on the G string. That again, that does exist within Mixolydian. Then we go 8 to 9. So we're using a wrong note at fret 8 on the G to slide into the major 3rd of Mixolydian. So that does exist in Mixolydian. Then we go 11, 12. Again, adding in the flat 5 from the blues scale here at fret 11. And then landing on fret 12 on the G string, so again part of Mixolydian. Then moving to the major 6 again, part of Mixolydian. Then going to fret 11 on the high E string, which is not part of the Mixolydian scale, but is part of the C blues scale. And then we end with this kind of fast 16th note triplet run in the C blues scale. Okay, so most of the wrong notes are added in at the start of the lick there. The end part, the last bar, is all C blues scale, so there's no outside notes there. So real quick, again, let's just go over those wrong notes. You start on the flat 7, wrong note, slide down to the root note, right note, the major 6th, wrong note at fret 7, wrong note again at fret 9 on the B, slide up to the right note, which is the major 6, then flat 5, slide up, fret 10, wrong note, slide up to the major 3rd, flat 5 up to fret 12 on the G, major 6, wrong note, slide up, and end with that fast blues run. So that's basically it. I know where all the right notes are, and I'm just identifying notes that are basically a semitone higher or lower than the right notes, and I'm adding them in as a way of reaching the right notes. I know I'm saying that a lot, but that's the process. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you did learn something from it, please do give it a like down below and share it with your guitar playing friends. Again, if you want to know more about Mixolydian and how to improvise with it all over the fretboard in any key, links to my online courses are in the description below. It's part 2 advanced concepts that delves into modes of the major scale, so that's what you're going to be looking for. Please don't forget to click subscribe for more content like this in the future, and I will see you guys in the next one.